Welcome everyone. Today I have updated guide for Diablo 4 Season 8 tier list in preparation for the new patch. So what's happening is you might have seen my previous video, and this video can become a little out of date simply because during the time I was looking at the best builds in the PTR, but due to the nerfs and also changes to the boss powers, this video might seem a little out of date. So I have added this extra part at the start of the video to address the post-patch builds and also the post-patch ranking, and I have also included the previous section of the videos should you want to have a look. But keep in mind guys, the second part of the video will focus on the PTR with the boss powers. On the first part of the video, we're looking at the changes after the latest patch. And yes, I have done some additional research to look at tier lists from various content creators and different guides on different sites and also different tier lists. So as a quick summary of the current updated version of this video, what we can see after the patch changes and also after the changes to the characters, especially the boss powers, is that the characters and classes have been shifting away from the boss powers entirely. So when you're watching the second part, you can see the ability of using boss powers. Those could still work, but the scaling and also the factors would have been changed. So please keep in mind while you watch the second part. Now, with the latest change and also the post nerfs and also buffs to everything, we can have Max over here. There's also the Rob's tier list guide. To just give you guys a quick summary after doing a bit of research myself, what I noticed is there is still a number of variable or S-ranked build that is achievable for most classes. So for the spiritborn, we're looking at Poison Crow Valley. For the necromancer, there's Bone and also Blood Wave Necromancer. For the barbarians, there's Whirlwind, Mighty Throw, and there's also Earthquake Barbarian that can be working. For the druid, there's the Catalysm Druid, and also for the rogue, this is still the Death Trap Road that is using the boss powers previously. For the sources, the Lightning Spear sources seems to be okay. Now all of those builds and also links will be available for you guys should you guys want to have a look. So I basically summarized some of the A tier and also S tier rankings of the builds over here. There are some disparities between the builds since the nerf of the boss powers, so let me briefly go through with you guys what I think after the patch change. Now of course, the second part of the video you can see my previous thoughts before the patch notes, but of course that video is a little late to be posted and this video ending up to be not as accurate because of the change. So what do I think about the Season 8 changes and which class would I go for Season 8? I am planning this myself as well. Now, you might see some parts that's a little repeating. I still think Rogue may be one of the fastest in terms of leveling, but I'm also thinking Spiritborn is getting up there with leveling, especially builds like Evade Spiritborn as you guys can see over here. So this is a demonstration of the PTR with Season 8 using Evade Spiritborn. Now again, this is not going to be the most updated version, but this is still quite powerful for Torment 4. This won't be super strong in the pit, but Evade Spiritborn seems to be okay if you just want to farm the pit, if you just want to farm early levels of the pit, the Helltide, and also any content that is available. Again, it is not gonna be the SS tier builds, but here this is coming from 0 to hero, and you can see that the Evade Spiritborn seems to be okay, especially after some of the recent changes with the boss powers. And after that, we do have a version coming from Rob, and this is the Poison Crow Valley. I'm sure you guys might have seen this video, but if you haven't, I'll also showcase this video for you guys. You can see Rob one-shotting bosses and also, doing tons of damage in the end game. So one of the reasons we want to look at Spiritborn is that with some of the changes to Spiritborn, yes, a lot of different research over here. So there's also this article talking about buffs to Spiritborn and also the boss type of drops, and this is from Warhead. So the Russian Claw Spiritborn seems to be a little stronger, especially with the charges and also the amplifiers, especially with the 50% multiplier per charge. And this does push my ranking for Spiritborn a little higher. You could go Russian Claw, you could go Evade, or endgame you can go Poison Crow Valley. So Spiritborn is definitely something I am considering for the new upcoming Season 8. Second to that, the Necromancer. If we look at most of the tier lists, you can see the Necromancer is always on the top. There's the Bone Spear Necromancer, Bloodwave Necromancer, Bone Spear Necromancer. There's also the Minion Necromancer that seems to be getting a lot of potential buffs for the early game, especially getting into Torment 4. In terms of raw power, you can see most of the content creators are ranking the multiple Necromancers on the top of the tier list, and there's more Necros on the top of the tier list. So, to follow from that, I think the second class that is of interest, especially the changes of the latest PTR, is going to be the Necromancer. And here we do have a video coming from Lord Xera. And in terms of the Necromancer, this is a pretty cool demonstration of the Bloodwave Necromancer. And you can see his powers in, tier 105 for the PTR. And this is without using any crazy boss powers. This is a pure power of the Bloodwave, and it does really hefty damage. Great numbers, you can see the overpower hits of billions, and great AoE. And of course, if we fast forward a little bit, you can see this was able to clear pit 105 with the Bloodwave, and this actually shows the Necromancer has not been nerfed as badly compared to the other classes, especially combining with more boss powers. So this is one of the reasons most tier lists and also content creators are recommending Bloodwave Necromancer, and for me personally, I think this is definitely high enough. I might even say this is the only SS class that is there for the endgame. Now, if you see the second part, you can see the Necromancer using the boss powers as well to become even stronger. So in that sense, the Necromancer, the only drawback for me is the leveling is a little slower for the Necromancer compared to the other more mobile class, but this won't be a major factor. Maybe I'll think that the Necromancer might take another 20 or 30 minutes to level, but if you join in leveling with everybody else in the event and also in the zones, this is not a big deal. So I actually think the Necromancer, second to the spiritborn, may be the strongest class in Season 8. Now, as we keep going, there's going to be the Barbarians and there's going to be the Druid. In terms of the Barbarians, the Whirlwind Barbarian has gotten a bit of buff, and if we come over here, you can see the buff of Whirlwind Barbarian and also additional buffs to the Barbarians. And this also relates to the Mighty Throw weapon bug adjust. Seems like they are actually fixing this bug, and this will also make the Mighty Throw weapon pretty much one shot. So in terms of the in terms of the Barbarians I think is in a good spot, but it will be a little shorter and also a little less powerful in Season 8 compared to the Spiritborn and the Necromancer. This is also the case for the Druid. And the Catalysm Druid, if you watch the second part, beware of the Epilepsy Druid. This Druid is just too flashy for me, and ultimately I still rank the Druid a little lower because of this. Now, just to show you guys the Catalysm Druid on the second part, you can see it is very flashy, but not great for the eyes. Now, if we fast forward to the Potion Rogue, you can see that the Potion Rogue on the second part is very powerful, and it still uses the same tech as before, but of course the damage number has been nerfed a little bit, so do again be aware of this. But you can see it uses great utility, it is great in AoE, it is pretty amazing. Especially after the nerf, I think the Rogue is still pretty high. Not as double S tier before, but the Rogue is still up there with the Death Trap Rogue. I'll also have another builder's guide available for you guys. The current builder's guide for the Rogue is focused on the boss powers, but the future one will focus on more abilities and also more scaling. Finally, for the sources. Great leveling for the sources Season 8 as well. Crazily mobility with blink and also abilities to lower cooldowns, and also the lightning spear sources is still pretty highly ranked. It is not as highly ranked on Maxro over here, but you can see coming from Rob's Excel, we can still see the sources on the top with Blizzard and also lightning spears. On Maxro over here, we have the lightning spear sources coming up, and over here we can have the Frozen Orb sources. A lot of sources are in the A rank and also B rank tier, but it is not as highly ranked compared to Rob's. So I do think the sources has fallen a little bit. Maybe I'll give sources S rank over here. So this is just a quick recap because of the patch changes, and I do recommend having a look at the second part. This is what was most OP on the second part, but just to add this to the video before posting it, I want to do a quick too long didn't read summary because of the patch change, so the second part won't be as out of date as initially planned, because I was posting this video a little later. So what I think after the patch change is that Necromancer is actually number 1 on my ranking tier list. Followed by that, I think the second place will be for the spiritborn. After that, Barbarian and also Rogue are on the equally third place. And this may be changed as third place can be the sources, really depends how the season goes. At the moment, I think Rogue and Barbarian is at number 3. Number 4 might be the sources, or maybe number 3 can still be the sources. Druid is still the lowest ranking for me in terms of the starting Season 8 class. And at the moment, I'm still deciding between the Spiritborn and also Necromancer as my starting class. And what I do now is I'll showcase to you guys on the second part. So again, do be aware, during the recording of the second part, I did not have the patch notes available. So this is purely based on the highest pit clear with the boss powers and also my evaluations because of this. I still think some parts are still usable. This is why I'm also attaching the second part for this video for you guys. On the next video, I'll be looking into the Spiritborn and also Necromancer leveling and also the builds I want to plan for Season 8 for Diablo 4. So coming over to the replays over here, and of course I am taking a clip of the replays for a number of content creators which will be credited, and also which I'll be attaching all of the videos, guides and also builders guide available in the links below should you want to follow those content creators. So coming over to the first class of focus, over here we have the Spiritborn for Nerfed on YouTube. So this is going to be a Crow Volley Spiritborn that uses poison boss damage as an amplifier. Now if you guys are not sure about the season thing, all the classes and also all the build will focus on using the boss's modifiers. At the moment we're looking at a tier 100 clear. Now due to the changes and also difficulties in Season 8, the higher pit dungeon or pit 100 is a benchmark for a solid S or double S tier build. You do want a really strong powerful build because a lot of the easier meme builds are not going to be allow you to push for over 70 of the pit, and which you do want over 70 because this is a benchmark for Torment 4. So coming back to the build, you can see the Spiritborn have great mobility, uses Crow Volley and also ability for Mystic Circle and also tons of great poison damage. Yes, we'll be using boss powers that enhances our class and also abilities damage. And as we can see for Spiritborn, the time it took us to take down pit 100 during the PTR is about 8 minutes. Keep that in mind as we go to the number of classes. So after having a look at the Spiritborn, let's have a look at the Necromancer. Now the Necromancer will use a different boss power, and of course I'll have focused video guides to teach you guys exactly about those builds and boss powers in the future videos. So this is coming from Skirm on YouTube, and he has been a big fan of Necromancer and sharing a lot of guides that is available. So briefly have a look at this Necromancer. He does have pretty much infinite duration of Blood Mist together with tons of corruption debuffs that deals some really good damage. The new Belial Eye Beam is also very visually pleasing compared to the Spiritborn, and it looks pretty good. The tech of using potions and also ability to group enemies is also very nice. So, skipping fast forward a little bit to the pit 105 final boss. You can see the build does some really good AoE damage together with boss's damage, but compared to Spiritborn, it does seem like the clear time is a little longer. So it took our friend over 14 minutes to clear pit 105. And of course, all of this is recorded on Excel should you guys want a better comparison. So what we can see from the Necromancer build is that this build has great AoE potential, great survivability, and also decent damage. But maybe against a single target compared to the other classes, it may be a little slower. Now on the topic of single target and also boss damage, we now have the Barbarian. This is gonna be a bomber barbarian that uses the boss power to bomb enemies while casting your ultimate pretty much non-stop. Every 1 second you can cast your ultimate, and this is a barbarian summoner for pit 105. And yes, over here we're learning from the Chinese content creator with the name 卡宝活到80岁 on Bilibili. Should you guys want to follow him or have his links available as well? You can see that the numbers is crazy and the gets so out of hand that our Chinese content creator eventually is pretty over it, even turn the numbers off. So this particular barbarian build, we do have a version for Rob as well should you want to follow the English guide, and I'll have Rob's guide in the links below. So this one could definitely clear pit 100, pit 105, maybe pit 110 with the right gears. he uses the ability to summon tons of friends, the barbarians, using ultimate because you're pretty much having no cooldown, and in return you are doing boss damage by casting your ultimate. And you can see the damage is pretty hefty. Against the boss with Pit 105, it is taking down the boss down, let's see how long did it take. It took the boss down in about 7 minutes, and this is Pit 105. So this definitely shows the endgame potential of the Barbarian in much later stage of the game. Now before we jump over to the Druid guide, this is actually a realistic warning coming from the content creator, and after looking at the Druid build, I do want to warn you guys for epilepsy, because the screen will flash a lot. It is advisable if you have this condition, guys, please skip this part, don't risk it, because the Druid build is something that is amazingly flashy, not in a good way. So that's let's come over to the build, and this is actually from Cloak. Oh, I do apologize for not pronouncing the name correctly. So Melith Cloak on YouTube. So over here, what we can see is this is gonna be another ultimate casting Druid. And yes, the ultimate of the Druid and also abilities is flashy. It is so flashy, and it is actually doing some decent damage. The Druid can consistently get tons of barriers, the Druid can get tons of cooldown reduction, and together with the ability to suck in enemies, and also does this flashy lightning combination that initially I was like, hey, it's not so bad, right? The damage is pretty hefty for a tier 100 clear, and the ability to glue enemies and also disable them does make the Druid feels very powerful, but it gets a little more extreme. So coming to the end part of the Pit 100, you can see the Druid is bursting down elites like no tomorrow. And this is when the build gets to me. I was like, it is flashing so much. It is a very flashy Druid that I actually personally can't handle it. Compared to the damage numbers, it is actually really high for Pit 100. So over here we can see the Druid is taking down the entire Pit 100 in less than about 6 minutes. 5 minutes and also 5 minutes, about 50 seconds, 5 minutes, 40 seconds, take down the boss. But the amount of flashiness coming from this Druid is just too overwhelming for me. So even though the Druid seems to be clearing much faster Pit 100 compared to some of the other builds, its unique ability and also flashiness, it is something that may be a little bit extreme for me, which we'll discuss in the later part for the tier list building. Now, coming over to some fun build that combine a lot of things I enjoyed from the other classes. So this is coming from the Chinese content creator on YouTube called 哎呀不错哦. Again, the links and also builder's guide will be available in the links below as well for you guys to have a look. So this is a potion tech rogue that has the Belial Beam together with the ability to group enemies together, disabling them, and also having great mobility and also transitional spells in the early levels as you level up. Now, I am saying a lot of good things about Rogue because I am tempted to play the Rogue. Two things that really struck me. One is the ability to become a Christmas tree and pop potions non-stop. It is a potion tech Rogue. Together with the ability to suck enemies in, great AoE damage, and again, great single target damage and also AoE clear. This is definitely by far one of the strongest builds in the meta during the PTR for Season 8, and a lot of people believe this may be one or two of the best build that is available unless there's a major nerf. Of course, once the Season 8 is available, I'll be updating you guys to see how powerful the build is. And as you can see, the damage numbers is bonkers and the animation is really fun. So this particular rogue build for tier Pit 100 is very, very powerful. And as you can see, not only it has great single target damage, great AoE damage, it's got great mobility. So fast forwarding towards the boss, and this is an entire boss fight, and I do believe this entire pit fight is taking a friend less than 5 minutes. So this is pushing close to 4 minutes and also 15 seconds to take down the pit boss. Compared to the other builds and also other classes, the rogue definitely have an advantage in terms of damage. In terms of survivability, most builds are okay with it, and the rogue is staggering the boss very consistently, and the potion tech is amazing. So there we go. That took us about 4 minutes. I think that took us about 4 minutes, just a little over 4 minutes for Pit 100 for the rogue. Now, I like to say I saved the best to last, so we actually have two different sources built. The first one coming from Makuna, some of the best Diablo 4 mage player out there, and we have been learning a lot of various builds for higher pit level pushing from the Makuna in the previous seasons. So, a lot of those builds and also abilities for the sources is actually very flashy and also powerful. You have tons of ability with Blink, you have survivability, and you have a lot of ways of amplifying the boss, amplifying the monster's damage taken. Together with sucking monsters in and also being able to blink around, the entire map is disabled, debuffed for you to do higher damage. Makuna was able to show us over here with Pit 110, he took the boss down in about how many? Close to 8 minutes. And this is by far one of the highest clears compared to the other classes. But that is not all. So if I go a little further, we do have another demonstration from the sources coming from Cody on YouTube. Again, his versions of the video guide will be available for you guys. So Cody over here is using the particular Andorial flame beam power while dragging enemies and also blinking around. And this is also quite interesting because you can relocate your characters so they get zapped by the beams. Now, this is by far one of the highest clears I've found during the PTR for Season 8. So this is a Pit 120, and it shows the survivability of the sources because you're constantly disabling enemies. It also shows the damage potential. Cody was able to clear Pit 120 in about 13 minutes, and this build have even greater potential once the game is released. Unless they nerf the build, of course. So, in comparison to all the classes, the sources have great mobility, survivability, debuff ability, and also very high pit pushing potential with up to 120 pit clear. Out of all the classes, this is definitely the highest. Let me know what you guys think about this initial tier list for the PTR, and after the season have started, after we get to play a bit and also learn from different communities, I'll also be updating this tier list for us. And of course guys, let us know in the comments which of the classes and which of the build you want to try. And in the other videos I'll be posting for Diablo 4, I'll also be learning and also explaining different builds coming from the English, the Chinese community, and also what are the concepts, what are the gears you can be farming, and how to be leveling for those builds, including the ruins, the boss powers, and also everything that's related to Season 8. Now hopefully you guys found today's video helpful. Again, a big thank you to everyone on YouTube, especially our supporters, and also those of you guys who's been supporting me on Patreon as well. And we do have a new feature on the Mattjestic YouTube channel. If you click onto this, you can become a member. Yes, I've added this just recently, and this will allow you to have early access to videos that is posted a few hours or even half a day earlier if you want to watch those videos a little early. But yes, this will cost money. So please be aware the membership will cost money. And if you do want to watch videos normally, those videos will still be available after 6 to 12 hours, normally on the time we post those videos. And I'll be aiming to post at least one Path of Exile video a day, and this will be including guides, tips, news update, and also the latest tricks that is discovered on both the English and also Chinese community to keep you guys updated. And if you like those videos, make sure you leave a nice comment and also leave a like for those videos. If you guys haven't subscribed, it is a really good time to do so, because I'll be covering tons of Diablo 4 related topics and also videos and also guides. We'll be looking to the top meta builds, non-meta builds, leveling up, and also Paragon tricks. We're also looking to the latest events and also official updates and also changes to different characters and also different builds in the game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn the notification on, because a lot of you who are watching the videos have not subscribed. You can see 80% of the viewers who are watching our videos have not subscribed. So make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the latest update for Diablo 4.